In this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to apply for a master's or a PhD in the USA based on my own experience. I'll explain the two main ways to apply, the timeline, but also some tips that can really increase your chances of getting accepted. So first of all, there are two main ways to apply for a master's or a PhD in the USA. And understanding this is really important because the strategy you are gonna follow will depend on which one you choose. The first option is applying directly to a project that a professor has already offered. These positions usually come with funding, especially for PhDs, and this is a huge advantage. You can actually find these opportunities in many different places, such as Twitter, which is, I would say, the main way to find these positions, but also university websites, email chains, and sometimes even LinkedIn. This option is usually more common for master's students, but there are also opportunities for PhD students. Of course, this option has pros and cons. I would say the main advantage is that you don't need to find funding because it's included already in the project. The main disadvantage would be that you don't have as much freedom to choose what you want to do research in. The second option is contacting a professor with your own research idea. This is a great option if you want some freedom in what you are gonna be working on. But there are a few important things to keep in mind. The first one is that you would probably need to find your own funding. It could be external or through the university you're applying to. In my case, I applied with my own project and all the funding is coming from the university. The university pays me while I'm teaching or doing some research for other professors while doing my thesis in whatever my project is in. Here are some important tips that will help you when you choose to apply using this second option. The first one is to make sure that the professor is actually taking students. You can find this information in the professor's website or the department website, and they will clearly say if they are taking or not students the following year. If you cannot find this information, then it's okay to reach out to the professor and ask if they are willing to take future students in the next round. The second tip is to not reach out to professors that are doing research in a completely different area of what you are planning to do. And this is actually really important, and it sounds silly, but in many cases, professors or university websites, they have the main research interests of that professor, but that hasn't been updated since 10 or 15 years, and sometimes professors change their research interests. So it's important to, instead of just looking at the website, I would go to their profiles on Google Scholar or Web of Science and check what are their last few papers about, especially the ones that they are the main author, because that's going to tell you what their research interests are right now. I've seen so many students that have contacted a professor asking them to take them as students and doing a project based on a research idea that the professor used to do 15 years ago. So the professor immediately rejected them because the research that they were proposing wasn't of their interests. And my third tip would be actually that. Just check the most recent papers that they have published and check what research areas they are more interested in. And not only because this is going to tell you what their main research is about right now, but also because in case they are not taking students, you can also see the list of co-authors that are in those papers, and that can give you an idea of other professors that you can ask to potentially be your advisor in case this one is not taking students the following year. If you decide to go with your own idea, which I would say is most of the cases, you really need to think deeply about your project. Read a lot of papers and make sure that your idea is strong but also clear. For a PhD, your idea should have the potential to expand into multiple chapters. If your idea is too vague, the professor might think that it's too risky to take you as their student. And this is because the professor might think that if you cannot come up with a very strong idea, they're gonna have to put a lot of effort in helping you to find potential project ideas. Some of the professors might be okay with this, but some others not. And now we're gonna talk about what you should include in your first email when you're reaching out for the first time to a professor. The first thing that you need to include is your CV, and especially if you're applying to a university in the USA, you need to adapt your CV to the American style, so you should check that before applying. The second thing that you should include in the main text of the email is introducing yourself and telling a little bit about you. So it should be a little bit of a summary of your CV, but not too in-depth. Another thing that you should include in the main text of the email should be why you are a good candidate and why you are reaching out to this professor. In other words, how this professor, how this college, how this lab might help you to achieve your goals and to help you with the project. Apart from this, I would include in the email a document with the project idea that you've already thought of. Remember, this project idea has to be very strong and clear. At the end of this email, I would recommend you to also add a sentence that says that you are happy to talk about all this, your project, who you are, and everything over a Zoom call. Now let's talk about the timeline, which is very, very important, and this is actually very confusing to many people. If you're applying with your own idea, I would recommend you to start reaching out to professors between April and July. So that means that before April, you should have already a clear idea of what your project is gonna be about. Before I go further into the timeline, I have to say that these are just recommended timelines. In my case, I didn't even reach out to professors until August, which was extremely late, and this is why I'm making this video, to try to help people and to avoid mistakes that I made in the past. An important note here is that if you're applying to a project directly, the timeline can change a lot because a lot of these projects are offered when the professor gets funding, and this is something that they cannot control. Sometimes they get funding in August, sometimes in September, sometimes even in January. So the timeline when you're applying directly to a project can be very different. I've helped a lot of my friends to get into big prestigious universities like Stanford or Yale, and many of them have asked me how many professors should I reach out to. And I always say that I only reach out to 2 professors, and that's because I already knew who I wanted to work with and I knew that they were taking students. So I didn't spend a lot of time trying to find other professors, but I would always recommend to reach out to at least 3 professors, and I would say the maximum would be 10. And I know that many students apply to 20, 30 programs, even like with different professors. And sometimes applying to more than 10 professors could be a disadvantage for you. And this has to do with the fact that you are thinking about a very strong project, a clear idea. And if you apply to many professors with different projects, because I assume you're not gonna copy and paste the same project for one professor to another, you're actually dividing the time that you spend on each of the applications among all the professors that you're applying to. So if you apply to only 3, I feel like you would have a stronger application than if you apply to 15. And I understand that 3 might sound very small amount, and that's true. So that's why I would say between 3 and 10, because some people feel more confident and more comfortable applying to more professors and more programs, just in case the main 3 or the dream university doesn't accept you. Over 10, I would say is a no if you want to have a strong application. So to maximize your options, I would say between 3 and 10. So once you've already contacted all these professors, I would recommend you to have meetings with them between June and August. It's important not only to discuss your project, but also to see if you and this potential advisor are a good match. I've posted a video on my channel about how to find a good advisor for you, and I would recommend you to watch this video after this one. If you're an international student, between June and August is also a good time to take the TOEFL, which is your English level exam, but also to translate your transcripts. And very important, please check the requirements of the university for international students, but also the department. And I'm saying this because in many cases, when you apply to a specific program in a college, the university may have some requirements, but the college by itself has their own requirements. So for example, sometimes the university might say you need 100 or above, but sometimes the department may say you need 110. So please check these requirements, because this could be something very confusing, and this is something that if you don't check, you can be rejected immediately. Around September, you should start preparing your application. First of all, the statement of purpose. The most important part of your application is the statement of purpose. I would say this is around 60% of your application. If you have a really good and strong statement of purpose, you will have way more chances to get accepted into your program. So you really need to spend time on this. So I'm also planning to make a video on how to make a strong statement of purpose. So I would recommend you to subscribe to this channel so you will get notified when this video comes out. You will also need between 2 and 5 letters of recommendation. I have a couple of tips about this. The reality is that you cannot control what the professors are gonna write about you in their letters of recommendation, but you can tell them what you want them to emphasize about you. A very important tip that I'm gonna give you here that I haven't seen in this type of videos is the fact that when you are asking someone to write a letter of recommendation for you, I would say if you've already developed your project idea, I would talk with them and be like, this is the project idea that I have, because they are gonna read your project and that's gonna give them a better idea on things that they should emphasize to increase your chances of getting accepted. One good thing about applying to graduate school in the USA is that most of the universities agreed to have a common deadline to submit all the applications, which is December 1st. After submitting your application, you just have to wait. The committee at that program or university will read all the applications and they will select some of the candidates for a second round, which is the in-person interviews. So I submitted my application by December 1st, which this is also another tip. Please don't wait until the end to submit your application. I would do it by mid-November because first of all, that gives you some time to check that everything that you've submitted is okay and it's what they are expecting, but also that shows to the university that you are actually a person that don't need a deadline to get things done, and that's something that shows a lot of positive things about you. So as I was saying, I submitted everything by December 1st and I got notified that I passed to the second round, the interviews, on December 15th. The second round consists of you going to the university and having normally in-person interviews, which includes interviews with the committee that review your application, the potential advisor, but also other professors. In my case, I interviewed with around 8 people, 2 from the committee, my advisor, and then 5 extra professors. Preparing for this interview is as important as all the work that you've done in the previous months. And to prepare for these interviews, you have to think about potential questions about your project idea, understand your methods and what you're planning to do. They don't have to be perfect, but the more detailed they are, the better, because they will see that you've really put a lot of effort on thinking about your projects. Another thing that you should do in these interviews is to connect your work with your advisor's research. And this is important because this is how professors and the committee are gonna evaluate if you're a good fit for that lab, but also for the college. Another thing that I would do before the interviews would be to check who is in the committee if you have that information, but also to see what professors are in that program apart from your potential advisor. And once you know who they are, I would read a couple of papers for each of them. For example, the most cited paper and also the latest published. And when you're reading these papers, try to connect that paper with your project and how all fits together. While you're visiting and doing this in-person interviews, you will have the chance to visit the university and talk with other students that are currently in the program. So it's a good time for you to ask them about the program, the classes, but also about the professors, the community, and so many things that are important for your future. Not only to show that you care and that you want to go there, but also to know if that city, that university, that program is a good fit for what you're looking for. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to spend at least 4 years in that city. And if it's a city that you don't like, believe me, it's gonna be an awful experience. So ask a lot of questions from how is the cost of living in that city, how is the community, but also ask about the classes that you might have to take, which ones are mandatory, the funding opportunities. Those interviews happened by the end of January and also the beginning of February. I think it was that week. And it was a very intense day. I think it was around 12 hours where my brain was constantly working, but it went really good and I got my acceptance letter by mid-February, so I had until mid-April to decide. I'm saying mid-April because at this time is when most of the universities ask the students to make a decision. I would say if you get accepted in this dream college or program that you are applying to, just try to accept it as soon as possible. If you're still waiting on other universities or the decision of other programs, I would say wait a little bit until you know if you have been accepted or rejected in those universities. Do not accept an opportunity if you are still not sure if that's what you want to do. Another tip for international students is if you get accepted in your dream university, start doing all the visa process as soon as you accept that position. And this is because it takes so long in certain countries to get your visa approved. And sometimes if you wait too long, you're not gonna get your visa before the start of the semester. And that's something that I've seen happening to multiple international students since I started my program. So that's the full process of applying to graduate school in the USA. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you want to watch more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, but also leave in the comments what type of videos you would like to see. I'm also gonna leave here how the day in the life of a PhD student is in case you are curious about it, and also some other videos that might help you with your application process. I hope you like this video. I'll see you in the next one.